darkness, my old friend, I've come to talk with you again.
This is wrong.
You're goddamn right.
You wanna know how to rhyme, you better learn how to add. It's mathematics.
Mighty most definitely.
It's simple mathematics.
Rotten Tomatoes has come under a lot of criticism recently for some of its controversial decisions about releasing critic reviews to the public, and the audience scores have been exposed as fake and untrustworthy. So I decided to make a video comparing critic and audience scores to see just how different they really are. Using BoxOfficeMojo's and Rotten Tomatoes data, I compiled through an agonizingly tedious process both the critic and audience scores from every movie in the top 100 worldwide box office earnings of all time, which included movies like Star Wars, The Avengers, Harry Potter, and Lord of the Rings, but I'm sure the list has replaced a few movies by the time you're watching this, since it changes on a nearly monthly basis. Anyway, after typing in 100 different critic and audience scores, I found that the average Rotten Tomatoes critic score in the top 100 worldwide box office earning movies of all time is 72.9%, and the average audience score is 76.2%. Keep in mind though that the audience scores are not verified and audience members can find ways to vote multiple times, and there are many more audience votes per movie than critic votes. The line of best fit for the top 100 worldwide box office earning movies of all time is critic score equals 1.295 times the audience score minus 0.258. So if you want to know a rough estimate for what the critic score of a movie would be if you only have the audience score or vice versa, all you have to do is substitute the score into the equation. The number has to be between 0 and 1 though, since I set up the equation using decimals rather than percentages. So if the score is say 92%, then you substitute it in as 0.92. Remember though that this is only a rough estimate, since the correlation between critic scores and audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes was only about 0.783 out of a possible 1, making for a fairly strong correlation but not enough for an exact prediction. The closer a correlation is to 1 or -1, the stronger the correlation is, and the closer a correlation is to 0, the weaker it is.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
It's also important to note that I only use the top 100 worldwide box office earning movies of all time, making this an incredibly biased sample if I wanted it to include all movies, meaning that the true average critic and audience scores for all movies, rather than just the top 100 worldwide box office earning movies, are likely much different than 72.9% and 76.2% respectively. Movies earning this high are more likely to have higher scores because movies that people tend to like typically earn more. There are exceptions though, such as Transformers Age of Extinction, which earned over $1.1 billion, good enough for the top 20 highest earning movies of all time, but only had an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes, the lowest critic score in the top 100. If you're interested in seeing how I got my data, or you want to see a list of the top 100 worldwide box office earning movies of all time and their corresponding Rotten Tomatoes critic and audience ratings, you can go to the Google Doc that I left a link to in this video's description. I appreciate you for sticking around to hear me dissect a bunch of useless information for the past few minutes. If you enjoyed this video's statistical analysis, you should stick around because there are definitely many more to come. Stay tuned.